Hello, my name is Tom Harrison. I want to thank you for purchasing our program on how to build your own home. I want to repeat a couple of things that some of you heard in the free introductory lessons at our website. The first thing I want to repeat to you is that even if you're in a state that has strict licensing requirements to be a builder, I want you to understand you can build your own home in any state in the union without being required to have a license. It's when you try to do it over and over and over that they're going to mandate, depending on the state you're in, how they regulate this, that you are required to get a license. But if you're just going to build one home or even remodel a home, you're not required to have a license if it's for your own use. I also want to stress to you that our program is not going to make home building into a bed of roses for you, because building or remodeling a home may not be a bed of roses for you. It could be one of the most traumatic experiences you'll ever go through in your life. It could be one of the biggest hassles you'll ever have to deal with in your life. But my promise to you is that if you will apply what we teach in this program, you'll not only be able to go out and build or remodel your own home, and you're going to be able to avoid the major pitfalls and mistakes, and you should therefore save yourself a significant amount of money. Now, this program is not a motivational program. It is a tool that you're going to be using constantly. You'll be referring back to it. And although I'd like to think once you know this information, it will motivate you to get out there and do it, it is not a motivational course. I stress it is a tool that I want you to use and reuse and continuously refer back to so you don't forget anything. Now, will this course prevent you from making any mistakes? No way. I have never built a home in my 30 plus years in construction. I have never built a home or a project that I didn't have mistakes in. I've never built a home that I wouldn't do it differently if I could build it again. But the difference is going to be is, yes, you're going to make those $50, those $100 mistakes. But the thing that this course should provide for you is where you're not going to make those mistakes that cost tens of thousands of dollars. Those are the kind of mistakes that are very devastating in the building industry. I highly recommend that you do the entire program before you go and buy any architectural drawings, before you buy any land or a lot. Now, if you already have drawings, it may still work out okay. If you already own property, yeah, it may still work out okay. But I've had a lot of students, after they complete our program, throw away the drawings that they had spent money on and start all over. I've had students, after they complete our program, sell property they had purchased because they were looking at it differently after our program. So just kind of put everything on hold. Any thoughts on your plans, any thoughts on the land, just kind of put them on hold until you go through the entire program, because you're going to be looking at your drawings and your property much different after you take this program. Another very important part to our program is the Alumni 24/7 site. At the Alumni 24/7, as you probably saw when you visited the website, we just have a ton of information there that is going to complement these CDs. Because when you're listening to these CDs, especially if you've never had any experience in construction, I'm going to be saying things that you probably will have no idea what I'm talking about. However, when you go to 24/7, you're going to be able to see photos and graphics of so many things that I'm discussing here that it's going to just clear it up for you so you won't have any questions. But there's just great information there on books that I recommend and websites that if you tried to dig out all this information, it would take you months to find what you're going to just be able to access immediately. You have my permission on anything there that you can download it and copy it, even though we have copyrights on it. Because you're one of our alumni, you have my permission to download and copy anything, especially the checklist. As far as I'm concerned, I would pay the price of this program just to have access to the checklist. And the checklists are going to be very, very, a very important tool for you to use, because there's a lot that I'm not going to be able to talk about on these CDs that will be covered in the checklist, so you will not forget anything. And this is so important. I know back when I used to fly and I owned an airplane, I would never get in that airplane and do anything without going through a checklist. And it's when you don't go through that checklist that you run the risk of getting yourself killed. Well, let me tell you, the construction of a home entails way more than flying a jumbo jet. And there is no humanly possible way you will remember all this stuff that you need to remember without having a checklist. And the checklist is also kind of a living organism, in that during construction, if you notice something that needs repairing or fixing or replacing or something that wasn't done, you will add this to your checklist so you will not forget it. Also, at the 24/7, I know in construction, I don't try to retain a lot of this stuff in my head. I know some builders, they just have a photographic memory. They just remember everything. I can't do that, or I don't do that. I have a hard enough time with names and phone numbers. So I've always kept, like in my Palm Pilot, I'll keep memos on, how many brick do you order per square foot? How much sand do you order per 1,000 brick and mortar mix? And just all kind of little notes like this that I constantly use in the construction of a home to order material or know what's, getting ready to take place. You're going to find those notes at 24/7, and I think you're going to find them very helpful and beneficial to you. In this program, I'm going to be teaching you what you need to know to build one home. Now, granted, what you need to know to build one home is the same thing you need to know to build 1,000 homes. But unless you're a full-time builder, there's really no need to do some of the things that we do when you're running a full-time building business. For those of you that go through our program and you decide later you want to stay in the industry, which about 30% of our students do, then we're going to have material there for you if you decide to become a professional builder that you should find beneficial. However, you do not need that information just to build one home. And if you're doing this by yourself, if you're not hiring additional people to work for you and with you, there's just not enough time in a day to do everything that you would do if you were a professional builder. So this is information here will enable you to build or remodel that one home and keep you out of trouble. Our program is designed to be talking to you as though you have no prior experience in construction. We don't want to assume you know anything about this crazy industry. So for those of you that do have some construction experience, just kind of bear with us through these areas. And of course, I don't think you'll have any problem with it. And I want to really stress to you to take heed and listen to my advice. I heard at one time or read, I forgot where it was, that, good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. And bless God, I can relate to that. When I think of all the bad mistakes I've made, the time and money I've spent, literally millions of dollars to learn this information. I hope you take this to heart and that you listen to my advice on the things that I'm going to do. Now, I will tell you, I found out some of you are like a bunch of youngins. I'll tell you what to do, and bless God, you just got to go out and do it your own way. I don't know what it is. Some of you are wired like me. I'll get, and there's two roads I can go. One's a easy road and one's a hard road. And for some strange reason, I'll choose the hard road. Well, if you're wired like that too, and you just got to do your own thing and you go down that hard road, I just hope you remember some of the things I'm talking about. And after you hear it a couple of times that, oh gosh, Tom said this or Tom said that, Then you'll get back on the straight and narrow, and you'll decide to listen to the advice I'm going to give you to make your life a whole lot easier. I also want you to understand that what you need to know to build on a half-acre lot is a little different than what you need to build on 50 acres of land. So you're going to have to use a little bit of your own judgment in those parts of the course to understand, well, that's good information, but I don't really need to do that on a half-acre lot. But I think you'll be able to see the difference without any problem. Another thing that I want to stress to you as far as listening to my advice is that over the years, even though I've learned a lot about construction and I know how to do a lot of things, I have also learned that there's people out there that have natural ability that are so far superior to anything that I know, that I don't try to do a lot of this stuff anymore. I will hire people to assist me. And this is very, very critical because I know in my first marriage to a wonderful woman, the mother of my children, we're still great friends even to this day. I remember she wanted to sew, and we purchased a nice sewing machine. And she started sewing, and the first couple of dresses that she made, she did a good job, but, I got to admit, they were nice dresses, but they looked like dresses that she made. It didn't look like something you would buy in a department store. And she realized after a bunch of hit and misses that she was just really not a seamstress, and she just used the sewing machine for miscellaneous stuff. And she gave up the idea of being a seamstress. Well, I've seen the same thing in home construction. I can see a rookie trainee, which most of you are, go out and build a home without any real prior knowledge, and you do a pretty good job, but when you're finished, it looks like a home that a rookie trainee built as opposed to a professional builder. Well, I'm telling you, students, if you will apply what I preach to you in this program, when you finish, your home is going to look as good, if not better than many of the professional builders in your area. It's just going to have that little touch of, professionalism that you normally don't see on the home that a rookie trainee will build. So in this course, I'm going to be recommending people that you hire to assist you. And don't be afraid to give up a little bit of your money. I mean, you're saving a ton of money by doing this yourself. So don't be so tight on the money where you're a penny wise and pound foolish. If you get too tight on the money and refuse to hire people that can make your life easier or to keep you out of trouble, you're going to fall into that old situation where pigs get fat and hogs get butchered. You'll try and save a nickel, and then it'll wind up and cost you $1,000. So I want you to get out of that habit if you're that kind of individual, and you know who you are. The way the course is laid out, we will start with pre-construction, which is basically running your construction business. Then we'll get into the construction, and then we will cover items such as energy information, things I want you to know there. If those of you that are taking this program plan to remodel, there are some differences between new construction and remodeling that I want you to be aware of, and we'll cover in that section. For those of you after taking the program decide you want to hire a builder, and many of our former students, matter of fact, about 70%, after they completed the program, they decided they did not want to do this. They would rather hire a builder. But they were so thankful they had this information because they now felt so much better to deal with the builder. Not to mention they knew exactly what they wanted in their home. Then we're going to cover the section on how to buy or build for little or no money down. And even if you have plenty of money, I encourage you to listen to this section. You're going to get some good information there. And the way this came about is I would tell students in the classes about how I lost everything in a major recession in the early 70s. I had a big house, Mercedes, airplane, and everything they could come and get, or everything I had my name on, they could come and get, most of which they came and got. Now, I didn't file bankruptcy, but I didn't have any money when I got started in construction. And students would say, well, how in the world were you able to start building without any money? Well, from my real estate experience, I just knew so-called tricks of the trade. Now, this is no mystery, but if you've never been there and utilize this information, it will feel like a mystery to you. So we'll cover that. And then we'll have the conclusion. And that's how the course is lined up. Now, the first part on pre-construction, this is the most boring part for most individuals. Most of you are just chomping at the bit to knock over trees and dig a foundation and get started. You like the construction part. Well, I want to just forewarn you, the bulk of the money you will lose, will be in mistakes you make in the pre-construction area. This is the most important part in determining how much money you are going to lose or save. The construction part, yeah, that's a lot of fun. But the pre-construction is about half of the course. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the pre-construction, and we will start off with the preliminary analysis. Now, the first thing you need to do is determine what size home you should build. And the best way to answer this question is to determine how much money you have to actually build a home. Even if you are using your own cash to build a home, you need to determine how much of that money you're willing to spend. Now, if it's just unlimited, wow, what a great position to be in. But if that's not the case, you've got to allocate and say, I'm going to spend, $300,000 or $500,000 or whatever. Now, if you're going to borrow money, you need to find out how much money you're qualified for. And when you find out how much money you're qualified for, you need to find out how much is that going to cost you per month. Because, for example, you may find out you're qualified for $350,000, but when you see the monthly payment on $350,000, you may decide, wow, I can qualify for it, but I don't want that much money. So you may have to kind of adjust it to get in the range of, okay, this is what I want to pay per month. Now, based on this, now how much money can I borrow? Now, at 24/7, you're going to see additional information on how you could sit down and kind of determine all this yourself. But I will tell you, if you're not really kind of used to this kind of stuff, it is really tedious and can be not only boring, but just, a little bit of a problem for you. Let me just tell you the easiest thing to do. Just go ahead and you can do this online now, or you can look in the Yellow Pages and you will find a mortgage broker or a mortgage company, and just call them up and tell them that you would like to get pre-qualified to see how much money you could borrow toward a home. Now, they will normally shop around because they'll normally do this for free, except they may charge you for a current credit report, which, may be like about $20. So go ahead and just call a mortgage broker, tell them that you want to get pre-qualified for an amount of money to build a home or to buy a home. And they'll get all the pertinent information from you. Again, you could probably do this online. And I would be a little careful online because they're going to want your Social Security number. So make sure whoever you're dealing with is legit. But they'll get your Social Security number, and you may have to pay like a $20 fee for a credit report. And then they can say at this red hot minute, based on your assets, your income, and your credit, this is how much money you could borrow from a lender, and they can go ahead and tell you how much that will run you per month on a 15, 30-year mortgage or however you want to do it. And in that way, you're not going to be guessing, and you're not going to make the mistake of buying drawings or tying up land, only to find out later that you miscalculated this and you can't borrow the amount of money that you wanted. And this will just clear up a lot of questions for you. Now, understand this can change because of a lot of things. The economy could change. Interest rates could go up. You could lose your job, God forbid. You could get a divorce. God forbid that. But any changes, major changes like that could affect how much money you could borrow. But anyway, this is the best starting point. Again, at 24/7, you're going to see a lot of additional information regarding this. Once you know how much money you want to borrow or how much of your own money you're going to use, the next thing you need to determine is what do you want included in that loan. Now, let me tell you the things I like included in the loan. One thing I like included in the loan, and by the way, if I don't include these in the loan, I've got to come out of pocket with this money, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to use any of my own money. So several things that I like included in the loan is closing cost on the construction loan, projected interest on the construction loan, and closing cost on a permanent loan. Now, closing cost on a construction loan is normally 1 to 2% of the loan amount. Now, this is a negotiable figure. So I would, if I were you, I would plan on around 2% to be on the safe side. And this is of the loan amount. The interest on a construction loan is normally the prime interest rate plus 1 to 2%. Again, this is a negotiable figure. To be on the safe side, I would plan on prime plus 2. Now, in recent years, the prime interest rate has been unbelievably low. I mean, there were times the prime interest rate got down to like 1 or 2%. So let's say if it were 2%, prime at 2% plus 2%, that equals 4%. Well, I will tell you, most lenders are not going to loan you money construction money at 4%. They may say, you know, we loan prime plus 2, minimum 6%. They won't go below 6%, you're going to find in most cases. At 24/7, I'm going to show you how I kind of project the quantity of interest that I will pay during the construction of the home. So be sure to review that at 24/7. And then on the permanent loan, when you finish the construction of a home, you are going to convert this to a permanent loan. And when you convert it to a permanent loan, in most cases, you are going to pay closing cost on the permanent loan. And as a general rule, the closing cost on a permanent loan is going to run like 3 to 4% of the loan amount. If I were you, I would calculate 4% just to cover all the little fees they hit you with. Okay, food for thought. One thing I want you to think about is anything else you want included in this loan. Bear in mind, if you're building this home yourself or remodeling, you are saving, or you should be able to save, what you would have normally paid a builder fee. Well, in new construction, the fee could easily run 10, 15, 20, 25% or more. In remodeling, it's even greater than that. So if that's money you're saving, that's money you could spend in other areas. For example, you could use that money you're saving to reimburse yourself for the cost of the land, or to reimburse yourself for the down payment you put up. You could use that money to purchase dining room furniture. You could use that money to pay off bills that you have. You could use that money to go on a trip to Europe, for example. Now, you sure don't want to tell the lender you're going to use this money to go on a trip to Europe. And when you go through the section on how to buy or build for little or no money down, you're going to see a little clarity on what I'm talking about here. But if you want to use that money for the reasons I stipulated, I want you to include that in the figures here so that you'll know how much money is left over to actually build the home. After you come up with this figure, you now need to determine what is the square foot cost to build in your area. Now, I've warned in the free lessons, and I will, when we get into the cost section of the program, you've got to steer clear of square foot figures when you're really getting down where the rubber meets the road. But at this stage of the game, I want you to use square foot figures to get an idea of what size home you need to be planning around. And the way I want you to do this, I mean, you could talk with builders and say, what's your cost per square foot to build? But I tell you what, those prices go from A to Z, and to me, those are very dangerous prices. What I want you to do is acquire a book that we recommend in our program. It's RS Means Residential Square Foot Cost. It's $39.95. We're going to show you how to acquire it online, or you can purchase it at Home Depot or Lowe's. And there are several books that are like this, so I want you to be sure and get the one I'm talking about. They've got one very similar to this that covers all kind of square foot cost of the construction of a home, but that's not what I want. I want the one that gives you several models on homes, either a ranch, a duplex, a triplex, a split level, a split foyer, and you can do combinations with a basement, without a basement, all brick, all siding. And they have the categories broke down in economy, average, custom, and luxury. Now, if you're like most people, you'll start off on the luxury end, and then you'll have to face reality and move probably closer to the economy end. And they're going to have factors for your area in the nation because, for example, a home costs more to build in San Francisco than it does in Atlanta, Georgia. And you will go through just the first couple of chapters. Now, having done this many times, I could go through this in 20 minutes. It may take you a little longer, but if you will go through those first couple of chapters and be honest and fill out the answers, that is going to give you a darn good idea of what it's going to cost to build your home in your area. Now, for those of you remodeling, I think RS Means carries books that apply to remodeling. I don't know that for certain, but I'm sure there are books out there that will apply to new remodeling. This book is mainly for new home construction. And I will tell you, when you finish calculating this figure, you're going to say, oh, there's no way it's going to cost me that much to build this home. Let me tell you, when all the dust settles, yes, it will. So that figure is better than an educated guess, and I want you to use it. So use RS Means and determine the cost to build per square foot in your area for the style home you're looking at. And when I say economy, average, custom, and luxury, another way the analogy I use with people is I can take any set of drawings and I can either build you a Chevrolet, or I could build you a Cadillac, or I could build you a Mercedes, or I could build you a Rolls Royce off the same exact set of drawings. So I kind of like to think of it that way instead of economy, average, custom, and luxury. And that really drives it home. So if you'll look at the example in the workbook, it kind of goes through the steps here. First of all, you determine how much money you're qualified for. And in the example, I've got $350,000. but you decide you don't want to make those kind of monthly payments on $350,000. So now you must determine, even though you're qualified for $350,000, what you really want to borrow. And let's say, according to the example, you want to borrow $300,000. Then you need to subtract those items you want included in that money, such as the closing cost on the construction loan, the projected interest on the construction loan, the closing cost on the permanent loan. And let's just say that that comes to $50,000. So when you subtract $50,000 from the $300,000, that leaves you $250,000 that you have to actually build your home. You go to RS Means and you find out for the kind of home that you want with the little options you want on it. For example, you may want a basement. You may want to finish the basement. That the cost per square foot in your area is $85 a square foot. If you divide the $250,000, the amount of money you have to build your home, by $85 a square foot, you come up with a home that is 2,941 square feet. And that is the magic number you are looking for. So if you're walking around with a 5,000 square foot dream home, based on what you're qualified for, what you want to pay per month, what you want it included in the loan, the cost of construction in your area, you got to throw those drawings away and you got to face reality, and you need to be looking at 2,941 square feet. And that is the magic number you're looking for.